cuddly animal or a ferocious beast. There are many deceptions in nature between both plants and animals, and it's hard to tell which is which. Not knowing could get you harmed, injured, or even killed. Luckily, I'm here today to inform you on how to stay safe in nature. We're going to be discussing animals to avoid, plants to avoid, and even some plants that are edible. It is key to be mindful of your surroundings while out in nature so that you are able to avoid any of these dangerous plants or animals. That being said, let's get into some animals to avoid. A good rule of thumb is to avoid all wildlife when you're out in nature. They don't want to be bothered, and you really don't want to be bothered by them. If you stumble upon an animal with its child, especially stay away. Animals get very defensive when they're around their children. These animals even include bears, raccoons, possums, bobcats, wild dogs, and even deer. Deer might look cute and you might want to pet one. However, if it is with its child, it will be very defensive and could hurt you. One animal that lots of people like to look out for, but is rather tricky to spot, can be snakes. While most snakes are non-venomous, there are a few venomous ones, but how do we tell them apart? Luckily, thanks to AZ Animals' official website, we have key traits right here, including bright colors, triangular heads, and vertical pupils. If you look closely at this green pit viper right here, you can see that it has vertical pupils. If you look at this yellow pit viper, you can see it has the triangular head, which you can notice that the head is significantly wider than the neck, making sort of a triangle to the point. When running from a snake, it's going to be rather hard to see the vertical pupils, so the triangular head and bright colors are good indicators of whether they have venom or not. However, colors can be deceiving. There are many mock snakes when it comes to venom, such as the coral snake and the scarlet king snake. Notice how they look very similar. The coral snake pictured on the left is actually very venomous, whereas the scarlet king snake is relatively harmless. There is one small difference, however. On the coral snake, the red stripe touches the yellow stripe, and on the scarlet king snake, the red stripe touches the black stripe. When seeing either of these snakes in nature, you can tell them apart through this easy rhyme to remember. Red touches yellow, dangerous fellow. Red touches black, venom they lack. Now that you are knowledgeable in which animals to avoid and how to tell some dangerous animals apart from safe animals, let's move on to some dangerous plants. Thanks to Mossy Oak's official website, we are able to gain attributes of some dangerous plants. These include milky white colored sap, thorny stems or trunks, almond scented bark, and three-leaf foliage. While the almond scented bark and milky white colored sap might be rather hard to detect, the thorny stems and three-leaf foliage can be easier. Three-leaf foliage is actually common in a very famous dangerous plant, poison ivy, and it is common in poison oak. Poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac, which we will get onto later, are all part of the same family and all have a sap-like substance called urushiol. Urushiol creates an allergic reaction which can cause redness, itchiness, irritation, and small bumps on the point of contact. I've gained this information thanks to WebMD's official website, where it has many other signs, symptoms, and treatments for poison oak, poison ivy, and poison sumac rashes. Poison ivy has the three-leaf foliage we discussed and has sort of pointy leaves, and that's somewhat different from the poison oak, which still has the three-leaf foliage. However, it looks more like oak tree leaves, whereas they're more rounded on the edges. Poison sumac, while still in the same family and still having the same traits, has longer branches with multiple leaves on each branch. Hollyberries are actually not related to poison sumac, oak, or ivy, and they are not poisonous or harmful to touch. However, they are poisonous when consumed, thanks to the National Capital Poison Control's official website. We have found out that hollyberries can cause nausea and even a sickness kind of burning sensation in the stomach when digested. Hollyberries are poisonous to humans and most animals, while they are actually edible for most birds. Hollyberries are rather common. They are found on holly bushes and holly trees. I actually have a holly tree in my yard. However, it is not ripening season for it right now, so I do not have any holly berries. While there are a lot of dangerous and scary plants out there, and I would advise you not to eat most plants, there are still some edible plants. Mossy Oak's official website says that wild raspberries are the sweetest wild plant that one can find and safely consume. You can eat them straight off the bush, or you can take them home and put them into a treat, such as a tart or a pie. They also mentioned that wild asparagus is a good source of nutrients. They can be found near water in loose sandy soil and are noted for their yellow-greenish stems. The next two were rather shocking. Mossy Oak says that dandelions are a great source of nutrients and have been eaten in many cultures throughout the world for many years. You can eat them straight off the stem, however, it is not advised since they have a rather bitter taste. Most would go home and boil the dandelions. Dandelions are actually rich in vitamins A, B, and C, as well as in magnesium and iron. Brett and Kate McKay, both nature enthusiasts, have written a survival article online and mentioned that clovers were actually a great source of nutrients, and they are fairly common in most grassy areas. So if you're ever in a tight space and you need some food, just go over and pick up a handful of clovers. However, I do advise against eating 4-leaf clovers. I feel like that would bring you bad luck. Nature can seem scary. However, today you've been well equipped in what to avoid and what you can safely eat. We've gone over animals to avoid, we've gone over plants to avoid, and we've gone over some plants that are edible if you ever need a snack while out in nature. If I can leave you with one thing here today, just remember that not all animals are nice. While that raccoon might look very cute, it is not as friendly as it may seem.